From our studio located in Madison, New Jersey,
This is Real Good News.
I'm like the man they call a seeker. I'm a real truth speaker, and I always cut right to the core. And you know I really ask, cause I get right to the facts and get the answer to what I'm looking for. I can pronto peg a lie, I'm a tireless and quiet. I've been a furious thinker since my youth. My motives on above ground. I've always been a bloodhound for the truth. The truth. You can learn, you can run, but the truth.
Welcome back to another episode of Real Good News. I'm your host, Lisa Allen. In this episode, we will take a look at the happenings in Morris and Union counties. Tommy Nonamaker joins us with his coverage of local sports. We will hear about the importance of brain health from Kate Caracello-Tente over at Healthy in the Garden State. And we will have not one, but two stories from our newest member of our news team, Makayla Patton. I'm Makayla Patton, and on my first episode of Real Good News, I'll be taking a look at how consumer taste for online betting could be turning sour in New Jersey. And later on, I'll have a Halloween story for you where the candy wrappers caused more fright than delight, and the courtroom turned out to be the scariest place of all.
You might have thought that all those American heiresses from the Gilded Age all landed husbands who were members of the British aristocracy. But there was an untold story that we've discovered, and we'll be talking with the author of a new book about a woman who became a German countess and then became a fierce fighter against the Nazi regime. That's coming up later on.
And now, here is your local Real Good News. Take it away, Georgette.
thank you, Lisa. Madison is getting ready for one of its cutest community events of the year. Rose City Dog Day and Parade will take place on Saturday, November 1st, 2025, from 11 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. If it rains, the fun will move to Saturday, November 2nd. We are happy to share some footage from last year's parade here for you now. This special event brings together dog lovers from all around Madison. Families dress up their dogs in creative and funny costumes and walk them in a joyful parade through town. Judges will choose winners and give prizes for best costumes. There will also be some local vendors offering treats, toys, and services, so it's a great day for shopping and meeting dog owners. To join the parade, families can register that morning for $20 in cash or by check made out to the Madison Main Street Foundation. Part of the money raised will help St. Hubert Animal Welfare Center, which works to protect and care for animals in need. The event will be held at Harley Dodge Memorial Building at 50 King Road in Madison. The Madison Area Chamber of Commerce organizes the parade each year to celebrate the community, support local businesses, and bring people together in a fun way that makes everyone smile. For more information, contact the Chamber at 973-377-7830 or the email address you see on the screen.
Union County will host a free online webinar on Wednesday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. to help families and caregivers understand the guardianship process for loved ones with special needs. The goal is to make a confusing and emotional process easier by explaining how guardianship works and what legal steps may be needed to protect a loved one's future. Experts from the Surrogate's Office, Inroads to Opportunities, and local legal and parent support groups will share guidance and answer questions. The event is organized by the Office for Persons with Disabilities and Special Needs to ensure families have clear, trustworthy information and real support when making these important decisions.
The Morris County Board of Commissioners has named 2 members of the Board of Trustees at the County College of Morris. Lorena Granani of Parsippany Troy Hills will begin a 4-year term on November 1st, 2025. George Milones of Wharton was reappointed for another 4-year terms. Commissioner John Crickes said their leadership will help the college continue a strong record of student success and community service. Loretta has more than 30 years of experience in business, public service, and community leadership. She was co-owner of a home design construction firm, served on the Parsippany Troy Hills Council from 2016 to 2023, and it was council president. She also has been active in the community service, helping schools, hurricane relief, and cancer research. Her volunteer work after Hurricane Irene earned the New Jersey State Volunteer Award. George Milonas, a graduate of the County College of Morris, has served as a detective, college professor, and business executive. He works in compliance and risk for Discover Financial and has held leadership roles at MetLife, Avis Budget, and JP Morgan Chase. These appointments reflect the county's commitment to education and community development throughout the County College of Morris.
New Providence is inviting residents to help shape its future by contributing to its new community energy plan. The borough has been awarded a $10,000 grant to map out local goals in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and resilience. To make this effort meaningful, local officials want to hear from you. What should the community prioritize? What changes should make the biggest difference? Your experiences and your ideas can guide the plan. This process is more than planning on paper. A well-crafted energy strategy helps the borough qualify for future grants, directing real funding towards projects that reduce emissions, improve infrastructure, and lower energy costs. Everyone in the community has a role. Your voice will help shape policies that lead to smarter energy use.
Morris County has added new hearing loop system to several public buildings during National Audiology Awareness Month. This system works with hearing aids and cochlear implants to make it easier for people with hearing loss to follow what's being said in meetings and events. A hearing loop uses a wire connected to a sound source, like a microphone or a speaker. The sound is sent directly to a person's hearing device when they switch to telecoil or T setting. This gives a clear signal and removes background noise that often makes speech hard to understand. The county has already installed the loops in buildings such as Human Services Building and other public meeting rooms, with a plan to expand for more locations. Officials say this step helps more residents take part in local government and community programs. They encourage residents with hearing aids to use the new system or try special headphones available at some locations. The goal is to raise awareness about hearing health and show that modern technology can help everyone stay connected and informed in their community.
Westfield is giving residents a chance to own a piece of local history while helping support community art. The town is auctioning off its old street signs, which were recently replaced as part of a major safety and visibility upgrade. The online auction runs through November 13th, and all proceeds will go to the Westfield Public Arts Commission. The idea turns a simple public works project into a creative fundraiser that celebrates the town's character and supports local artists. Anyone can take part. Residents can visit the online auction site, create a quick account, and place bids on the signs they want. Each sign has its own story, marking streets that many people have lived on, driven through, or grown up around. When the auction ends, winners will be notified to arrange payment and pickup. It's a fun way to recycle, remember, and reinvest in the town's artistic spirit, keeping a small part of Westfield's past alive while helping build its creative future.
The Morris County Park Commissioner is working with Veterans Valor of New Jersey. Together, they're bringing something new called the Healing Garden of Morris. The plan was announced at Friedrichshain Arboretum. More than 100 people came to the event. The Healing Garden will be a quiet place for peace and reflection. It will honor veterans and help their families feel supported. The garden will also welcome the community to visit and relax. This project connects to a program called Disarm PTSD. The program helps veterans who have trauma from war or service. It teaches them to find strength and healing in their experiences. The garden will have 7 special points. They're called Point of Sacrifice, Medevac, Triage, Homeward, Recovery, Falling, and New Life. Each part shows a step in soldier's life, from hard times to hope and healing. At the ceremony, veterans talk about their own stories. They say this garden will help people come together, share memories, and feel at peace. The Healing Garden has been planned for more than 2 years. It includes art, gardening, wellness programs for everyone. County leaders says they want the garden to be a place to honor and comfort for all the ones who visit.
Springfield's Recreation Department is getting ready for a full afternoon of family fun at its annual Halloween Spooktacular on Sunday, October 26th, from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon at Chisholm Park. If it rains, everything will move indoors to the Chisholm Community Center. The event will feature music, games, and a lively costume contest with prizes announced around 2:15. A roaming magician will entertain the crowd while a DJ keeps the energy up with music for all ages. The first 200 people who pre-register will receive a free basket of warm donuts from the Glazed and Confused Donuts truck. Kids can enjoy Halloween-themed lawn games, take photos in the photo ring, and take home special giveaways provided by Red Ribbon Week and community sponsors. Families are encouraged to come in costume, take pictures, and make it a fun afternoon of community spirit. The Halloween Spooktacular has become a local favorite, bringing neighbors together for a safe, lighthearted celebration that captures the fun of the season.
New Jersey is celebrating the success of a program that is making it easier for people to start and grow small businesses. The governor's office announced that the state website, business.newjersey.gov, has helped more than 50,000 people open or expand a business since it launched 5 years ago. Officials say the site has made the process about 30% faster by bringing together everything new business owners need in one place. The website offers step-by-step guidance on getting permits, licenses, handling taxes, and finding grants or loans. Businesses that use this site earn an average of $7,400 more in the first year. Altogether, it adds up to more than $167 million in new income across New Jersey. The governor called business.newjersey.gov a single front door for business services, combining information from multiple state agencies into one simple, easy to use resource. Use of this site in lower income areas also grew by 70% last year, showing that more residents are finding new opportunities to succeed. State leaders say that they plan to keep expanding the program to help even more people start and grow their business in the years ahead.
Somerset County is hosting a new art exhibit called Open Air, Open Space. The show celebrates the county's efforts to protect parks and open land. More than 40 artworks are featured, created by over 30 artists from New Jersey. Each piece was inspired by one of the county's public parks. Among the featured artists is Jessica Johnson, a talented artist we've had the pleasure of working with. Her work is included in the exhibit and helps bring attention to the natural beauty of the area. The competition was for plein air painting, which is the act of painting outdoors. Artists were assigned a Somerset County park based on their top preference and were given 1 year to complete the work, allowing artists to choose the season of their liking in which to portray their park. Jess Johnson attended Ducre School of Art and teaches art programs at the Dunellen Public Library. She will be participating in Somerset County's Hues of History event, which will be exhibited in the fall of 2026. The exhibit is on display at the Somerset County Administration Building in Somerville. It will be open from October 17th through December 31st. A public reception will be held on October 23rd at 6 in the evening, and guests can meet the artists and see the winning pieces. After the main exhibit ends, the collection will travel to other locations in the county. From January through March, the show will appear at places like the Environmental Education Center in Basking Ridge, the Sherman Hoffman Wildlife Sanctuary in Bernardsville, and the Montgomery Library in Skillman, and the Senior Wellness Center in Hillsborough. Artists were each assigned a county park and asked to create a two-dimensional piece inspired by that location. The result is a colorful tribute to the natural spaces that make Somerset County special. The goal of the exhibit is to raise awareness of the county's open space preservation program and highlight the beauty found in public parks across the region.
The flip side is returning to Madison with another night of fast and funny, unscripted comedy. The show takes place in Madison Community Arts Center, where it has become a favorite for local audiences. Directed by Dale Mulbeck, The Flip Side brings together actors from Vivid Stage, Broadway, and top improv groups from New York and New Jersey. Every performance features a special guest, and every scene is made up live on stage. Nothing is planned, and no two shows are the same. Performances are held every other month, and attendance is often close to a sellout. The next show is Saturday, November 1st at 8 in the evening. Tickets are $23 or $18 for students 25 and under. Dave Mulbeck says each show starts fresh with ideas from the audience. There is no script, just quick thinking and lots of laughter. The flip side offers fun night out for adults and older teens. Leave the kids and pets at home and come ready to laugh at one of Madison's most popular comedy events.
Broadway will hold its Halloween parade and spooktacular on Saturday, October 25th from 1 to 4 in the afternoon. The parade will begin in the Hamilton Stage parking lot on Hamilton Street and travel along Irvington Street towards the train station plaza. Once the parade ends, the spooktacular celebration will begin right there at the plaza. Families can enjoy carnival-style games, stilt walkers, face painting, music, and strolling characters. There will also be costume contests with prizes and goodie bags for the children. The event runs until 4 o'clock, and everyone is encouraged to come in costume, take part in the fun, and celebrate Halloween with the Rahway community.
Morris County has dedicated a new building called the Center for Health Profession. It's located at County College of Morris in Randolph and will open in the winter of 2027. The building is 80,000 square feet and will train over 1,500 students each year for careers in healthcare. It includes modern classrooms and labs designed to feel like medical setting. The center will offer programs in nursing, radiography, respiratory therapy, emergency services, and paramedic science. It will also bring new programs in dental hygiene, dental assistant, sonography, and medical assistant. County and state leaders attended the dedication along with college officials. They give special recognition to Senators Anthony Bucco, Joseph Panaccio, Paul Sarlo, and former Senator Steve Ortho. Their support helped make this project possible. One student spoke in the evening and shared a story about caring for his grandmother. He said that experience inspired him to become a nurse. He believes this center will give people like him a chance to follow their calling to help others. Leaders say this new center will prepare students for good careers and help fill important healthcare jobs across the region. For Real Good News, I'm Georgette Castro.
Today, we welcome Makayla Patton to Real Good News. Here she is now with a look at the online sports gambling.
For as long as most of us can remember, New Jersey has had a complicated relationship with gambling. From the casino battles in Atlantic City to the endless debates over whether betting belonged anywhere near our towns, this state has always had strong feelings on both sides. Up here in North Jersey, we've got a long memory of saying no. No to casinos in the Meadowlands, no to slot machines creeping north, no to the idea that gambling was just another form of entertainment. But over time, gambling didn't need to cross the turnpike or the parkway. It found a new way in. Not through a casino on Route 46, but through the phone in your pocket. Online betting slipped past all the old guardrails, quietly turning every living room into a sports book. And now, for the first time in a while, it feels like the public mood might be shifting again. A new study from the Pew Research Center found that 43% of Americans now say legal sports betting is a bad thing for society, up from 34% just 3 years ago. 40% say it's bad for sports themselves. That's a big change in a culture where every major league now has gambling partners, sponsorships, and ad campaigns built around betting odds. The NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and MLS all tell players not to gamble on their own games, yet their broadcasts are surrounded by sportsbook logos and betting promos. Here in New Jersey, the issue hits close to home. Online gambling has been booming since 2018, but a lot of us remember when expansion was fought hard. It was about protecting the character of our communities. Back then, people warned about addiction and what happens when gambling becomes too easy. Now, those same warnings are starting to echo again. The difference is that this time, the casino is an app. Pew's numbers show that about 1 in 5 Americans placed a sports bet in the past year, roughly the same as before. What's changed is how they're betting. More than half now do it online. That's made gambling feel normal, especially among younger men. But it's sparked second thoughts. Among men under 30, the number who now believe legalized betting is harmful has more than doubled since 2022. That's a striking reversal, and it's starting to sound a lot like the conversations we've had before in North Jersey. The questions are familiar. Have we gone too far? Have we traded too much of our focus and our values for easy revenue and constant distraction? It's too soon to know if people's doubts about gambling will lead to real change, but something feels different this time. New Jersey has been through this before, and the same state that once pushed back against casino expansion might again be the first to say it's time to slow down and think about where all this betting is taking us. Back to you, Lisa.
And now, here is Tommy with his local sports report.
Good afternoon. Former New York Jets center and Ring of Honor member Nick Mangold is asking for help tonight as he faces a serious health challenge. Mangold, who's just a longtime fan favorite and 7-time Pro Bowler, revealed that he is in need of a kidney transplant after being diagnosed 2 years ago with chronic kidney disease caused by a genetic defect. He shared that he first learned about the condition back in 2006, and after what he called a challenging summer, he's now undergoing dialysis while waiting for a transplant. In a message to fans, Mangold said, "I always knew this day would come, but I thought I would have more time." With no eligible family donors, he's now turning to the public, especially the Jets community, for help. He's looking for a donor with type O blood. Mangold lives in Madison, New Jersey, where neighbors describe him as a devoted father and active member of the community. Anyone interested in seeing if they might be a match can visit columbiasurgery.org/kidney-transplant. That's columbiasurgery.org/kidney-transplant and click I want to donate my kidney. Donors should use his full name, Nicholas Mangold, and birth date, January 13th, 1984, when completing the form. Mangold thanked his supporters, saying, "While this has been a tough stretch, I'm staying positive and focused on the path ahead. I'm looking forward to better days and getting back to full strength soon." Lovable words from Mangold. In other news, exciting news in high school football, the Hanover Park Hornets continued their unbeaten streak Friday night and steamrolling Jefferson 53-13 in a performance that showcased precision, power, and poise on both sides of the ball. From the opening kickoff, it was clear that the Hornets were locked in and ready to dominate. Quarterback Jack Kovacs wasted no time setting the tone, driving the offense downfield and finishing the opening series with a 1-yard touchdown run. He followed that with a 2-point connection to Rocco Zerpoli, giving Hanover Park an early edge. Jefferson's Braden Cummings momentarily closed the gap with an 11-yard touchdown run, which is very impressive. But that would be the last time the Falcons were within striking distance. Hanover Park's offense shifted into high gear. Dante Rosado exploded for a 20-yard score, and moments later, Kovacs dropped back and delivered a perfect 39-yard strike to Darian Lanicone for another touchdown. Remember to do that? Hanover Park's offense shifted into high gear. Dante Rosado exploded for a 20-yard score, and moments later, Kovacs dropped back and delivered a perfect 39-yard strike to Darian Lanicone for another touchdown. By the end of the first quarter, the Hornets led 22-7, and they were just getting started. Kovacs added a 20-yard rushing touchdown in the second quarter before Rosado broke free again, this time a 35-yard dash to the end zone. Jefferson managed one more short touchdown run, but Hanover Park quickly responded. Senior running back Mark Perillo, who led all rushers with 126 yards on 17 carries, powered in from 10 yards out to punch in another commanding first half. By halftime, the Hornets had built a 43-13 lead. With the win, Hanover Park improved to 7-0 overall and 4-0 within their division, continuing their remarkable 2025 run, a season defined by balance, toughness, and a relentless drive to finish every game stronger than they started. The Summit High School field hockey team combined athletic excellence with heartfelt purpose during their annual Pink Out game on October 7th, a tradition that honors Breast Cancer Awareness Month while uniting the community in support of early detection and women's health. Wearing pink and playing with passion, the Hilltoppers faced off against Glen Ridge in a matchup that was about far more than the final score. On the field, the Hilltoppers delivered a statement performance. After Glen Ridge opened the scoring, Lena DeVoe quickly answered to tie the game and swing momentum back to Summit. From there, Haley Harrington Sutton took command, scoring 3 goals and leading a surge that left little doubt about the outcome. Florence Chapman asked a goal and an assist and got it, while Tori Viskovich contributed an assist of her own. In goal, Aspen Rushmere made 2 crucial saves to preserve the lead and helped Summit close out a 5-1 victory. With the win, Summit improved to 9-5 on the season, maintaining 6th place in the Essex Union County standings, but even more meaningful than the victory was the message behind it. A reminder that teamwork, compassion, and awareness can make an impact that extends well beyond the field. For the Hilltoppers, the annual Pink Out isn't just a game. It's a celebration of life, strength, and the power of community coming together for a cause that touches so many lives. Back to you.
Now we turn things over to our friend Kate Chericello Tente with Healthy in the Garden State. Kate always brings such a warmth and joy to everything she does. Her stories remind us to take care of ourselves and to find happiness in everyday life here in New Jersey. She truly cares about helping people feel better and live better. Let's join Kate now for another thoughtful and uplifting segment of Healthy in the Garden State.
Brain health is so important because there is no cure for brain injuries. So our goal is really to prevent those brain injuries from happening in the first place. So we do a ton of education and outreach, trying to bring awareness to people of all ages, from birth through seniors, about ways that they can keep their brains safe.
Back then, we didn't know what concussions were. We didn't know what the deal was. We didn't know the severity. But we would say, tough it out. Come on, get back in the game. Now it's a whole different ballgame. At the NJSIA, we service almost 440 high schools in New Jersey. We service over 30,000 athletes in the state of New Jersey. Is the NJSIA number one responsibility is to provide a safe playing environment for every student athlete in New Jersey. That's our pledge to you.
Every single event I've been to, everyone is so thankful for BINJ because we're like, I had no idea. I wish I knew about you guys 15 years ago. I'm like, oh, well, we're here, never too late.
Andy Kay, also known as Miss B, leads the Explorers Playgroup Edu Play program, an early childhood music and movement enrichment program that helps build emotional confidence and independence in children.
John the Rabbit had a mighty habit, jumping in my garden, cutting down my cabbage, my sweet potatoes, and my fresh tomatoes. And if I live to see next fall, I ain't gonna have no garden at all. No, ma'am.
What is an easy, simple way someone can boost their mood today using music?
I would say just by pressing play. You can find your favorite song. It can be something upbeat, and you move your body. Your mind is already moving when you press play, and it has a funny way of just changing your mood. Once you start singing and moving your body, it's an ultimate game changer. So just press play.
Harvard Health, among other sources, share that music engages nearly all regions of our brains and actually strengthens the neural pathways that support our well-being and happiness. It also helps to maintain such connections as time goes on because of the way music positively activates so much of the brain at once. People with neurological conditions such as dementia and Alzheimer's often recognize songs from their past, even if they struggle to recognize other people or places around them. From Harvard Health, music training can bring about structural and functional changes in the brain, and studies have shown its positive effects on social bonding, cognitive abilities, and language processing. Understanding how music affects the brain can open up new avenues for music-based interventions in healthcare, education, and well-being.
If you like the science behind all of these things like I do, check out healthyinthegardenstate.com for links to additional reading on the topic, as well as links to all of our episodes. Here's to living our healthiest lives in the Garden State. Now go ahead and play your favorite tune. Right?
Now we turn to our dear friend and contributor, Steve Lebekin, who always brings us fascinating stories with depth and heart. In this segment, Steve introduces us to an author, Rich Hutto, and his new book, The Countess and the Nazis. It tells us about the remarkable true story of an American woman who marries a Prussian aristocrat, and together they risk everything to fight against the Nazis as part of the resistance during World War II. Take it away, Steve.
Thanks, Lisa. American television shows about the Gilded Age of the late 19th and early 20th centuries have focused a lot of attention on wealthy American heiresses whose families arranged for them to marry British aristocrats. But one story that hasn't been told as much is about American girls who didn't quite get the English noblemen of their dreams and chose somewhat different paths into European aristocracies. In a recent book called The Countess and the Nazis, we learn the story of Muriel White Seher-Tosa, a Gilded Age American heiress who married a Prussian nobleman and transformed her privilege into a weapon against tyranny, ultimately becoming a fierce Nazi resistance fighter. In the book, Richard J. Hutto draws on never-before-published memoirs and declassified CIA documents to resurrect Muriel's incredible journey. You can learn more at Rick's website, rickhutto.com, and the book's website, thecountess.net. Rick, thanks very much for joining us on the program today.
Delighted to be here. Thanks so much for asking me.
So, most of the stories that we hear from the Gilded Age about American heiresses marrying overseas tend to be weddings with British aristocrats or even British nobility. How did Muriel get to be involved with the Germans, and how did you come on to this story?
Well, Muriel White lived an extraordinary life. She was from great wealth and great privilege. If she had wanted to, she could have just become sort of a salonière, just sort of giving parties and such. She chose not to do that. She married a Prussian military officer who was actually from Silesia, mostly present-day Poland, although with a few changes. She went there and became his wife, had his children, and then began quietly fighting the Nazis from within.
She spent a lot of time in the UK. Her father was a diplomat who was variously posted back and forth to Britain, depending on which administration was in office. But there seems to have been some evidence you uncovered that her mother interfered with a couple of potential matches with British aristocrats. Tell us about that.
Well, she did indeed. She was fortunate in some way in her parents, in that her father, Henry White, was, according to Teddy Roosevelt, the best diplomat the United States ever produced. As you said, he was posted to London for 8 years before becoming ambassador to Italy and then ambassador to France. But his daughter was sort of getting older. Muriel, the woman the book is about, she was getting older. People were saying, why are you always a bridesmaid and never a bride? And so she went off one weekend to Berlin, met this young officer, came back, and then 3 weeks later announced her engagement to him. She was 29 at that point.
So they were sort of German nobility or aristocracy, but they were not as wealthy as her family?
Exactly. The Whites, her mother was a Stuyvesant and a Rutherford and a Morris. Those are all old U.S. families, colonial families. And so her family was well off. Her father's family, Henry White in Baltimore, at one point their home was the largest residence in America. So she came from that. And as I said earlier, if she had wanted just to sort of have a life of ease, she easily could have done that. But once she married, once she started having children, she saw actually what was happening to Germany. And while she and her husband both became anti-Nazi, it was for different reasons. Her husband just wanted things to go back to the way they were, back before 1918, when everybody's title was important and when there was a king or an emperor in Prussia. She, on the other hand, saw the evil that was coming. She actually, to his face, told Hitler at one point, the 1936 Olympics, they were guests at someone's viewing box, and Hitler came in. And while he was there, she said to him, "I know what you're trying to do, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop you." Hitler tossed his head back and said, "Oh, madam, don't be so serious."
From that point, did the Nazis keep her under surveillance?
It did. In fact, she was somewhat brazen. If we saw this in a man, we would probably say it's admirable. But in a woman, very often people say, "Oh, she went too far. She shouldn't have done what she did." Actually, she ended up saving her sons, both of whom were draft age and were ordered by the Gestapo to show up. Plus, she helped so many other people. There was an entire Jewish family who escaped from Austria with her help and then were set up in a new life in Australia. She also was at a dinner party one evening in Berlin with Tom Watson, the founder of IBM, who was there for a meeting. And there was a high-ranking Nazi officer at their table. Muriel turned to him, and this was in front of a reporter, by the way, and said, "I understand that sometimes you reward Jews by giving them honorary citizenship, making them honorary Aryans. Is that true?" And he said, "Well, yes, in some cases we do." And she immediately said, "Well, then who do I speak with about becoming an honorary Jew?"
It seems either incredible bravery or incredible naivete for someone to act that way. And I'm wondering, the kinds of activities she's engaged in there that you've just described, how did she manage to do that without alerting the authorities that she was someone, or did they have her under surveillance all that time?
They ended up having her under surveillance. You're absolutely right. But in the early days, I think she was somewhat protected because of her father's ambassadorial rank, the fact that her husband was a Prussian officer, the fact that her brother, in fact, was an ambassador as well. So I think that she felt she was at least somewhat protected.
I guess the thing that's most interesting to me is how they knew early on that the Nazi regime was not going to be a positive, and what made them turn against it so early on.
Well, Muriel certainly realized that before her husband did. They had been through what were called the Great Silesia Uprisings of 1918, 1919, and 1921, the last one being the worst. Muriel had actually been hands-on in that, in getting women and children out of the area where they lived, taking them overnight, walking all night to get them to security and safety, as she did. She knew pretty early on that this was the kind of thing that was necessary. She was known, for example, for finding food. Other people would say there's no food to be had because the military has it all. She grew some herself, plus she was able to get it from other places.
So how long did it take you to pull all this together, and what was it that got you interested in the story in the first place?
The whole thing took me probably 2 years. People sort of think, you aren't doing anything else during those 2 years, but I certainly did. But when it was time, when I was finished, this is going to sound strange, but you asked the question, so I'll answer it. I couldn't get an editor interested in the book, in the project. Just couldn't do it. And so I finally actually had a conversation with Muriel, obviously in my head. And I said, "Look, I've done everything I can. I'm sorry that I can't get you published. I will try again in the future." And I promise you this is true. 24 hours later, I got an email from an editor at a publishing house who had seen me do a national Zoom presentation and wanted to know if I had anything at all that was far enough along as a book project. I sent it to her, and within days, the book was signed. So I'm convinced that Muriel did that.
Well, it's an interesting story. It's an unknown story of World War I and the intervening period, and also World War II, and very dramatic story for the Muriel and her family. And we appreciate you bringing it to life.
Thank you. I enjoyed being with you.
And that will wrap things up for this edition. Again, if you want to learn more about Rick Hutto's research, visit rickhutto.com. And for more information about the Countess and the Nazis, visit thecountess.net. And that'll wrap things up for us from State Broadcast News over here in Cherry Hill. Back to you, Lisa.
2025 has been a rough year on America's highways. Here's Diane with more on that story.
Have you ever noticed how the roads in this country are getting stranger every year? Here in New Jersey, we started out 2025 with a mine collapse under Route 80 that shut things down for months. Imagine that. 1 minute you're driving along, the next, the roads decided to take early retirement and cave in. Now, you'd think that'd be as odd as highways get. You'd be wrong. Take Philadelphia. Drivers on one expressway weren't dodging traffic. They were dodging nails. A whole truckload of them. Hundreds of pounds scattered everywhere on I-76 during the evening commute. You could almost hear the tire shops cheering. At least 15 vehicles had their tires blown out. So in this part of the country, you can pick between no road at all or a road covered in nails. Some choice. Then there's Texas. A tractor trailer carrying 8 million dimes tipped over. $800,000 in loose change all over the highway. Cleanup crews spent hours sweeping, shoveling, and even vacuuming up all those dimes. They said the road shimmered in the sun. I bet it did. Probably the most help the state police ever had in cleaning up after a crash. And over in Fort Worth, they had their own version of rush hour horror. A truck hauling cow parts broke open and spread its cargo across multiple lanes. Drivers were most put off by the smell, not the actual wreck. They called it a Texas-sized cookout gone wrong. I call it a reason to keep your windows rolled up. And just when you thought the year couldn't get stickier, Michigan proved you wrong. Literally. A tanker full of chocolate surf sprang a leak on I-75. It took 2 days to clean it up. Somewhere Willy Wonka was shaking his head. Fort Worth wasn't done either. Another truck full of cow parts, yes, another, managed to repeat the performance. They're calling that stretch the meat mile. I'd call it a place to lose your appetite. And finally, we head over to Illinois, where 46,000 pounds of applesauce spilled across I-57. Cleanup crews said it looked like a baby food factory exploded. We even heard a rumor that they brought in 6,000 babies to help clean up all of that applesauce from the road. We're still checking on that.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and pink ribbons shine everywhere you look. But what truly matters is what they stand for: support, love, and the promise that no one fights alone. Doctors say early detection saves lives, and new advances in screening are helping more women find cancer early when it can be treated most successfully. Each year, survival rates improve thanks to research, awareness, and action. Behind every pink light and every walk for the cure, there are stories of triumph. Mothers, daughters, and friends who fought back and won. Their strength inspires others to never give up. This month also honors those still in treatment, whose courage reminds us what hope really means. So as towns across New Jersey and across the county glow in pink, we celebrate the survivors, support the fighters, and remember the loved ones who paved the way towards a brighter tomorrow. And now with Halloween just around the corner, Makayla takes a closer look at some of the tricks candy makers and the food industry use that might leave consumers with less of a treat than they expect.
Something strange is brewing in the candy aisle this Halloween. A federal judge has tossed out a lawsuit against Hershey after buyers claimed they were misled by the packaging on Reese's Halloween candies. The wrapper showed grinning pumpkins with spooky carved faces, but inside the bag, chocolates were plain and unadorned. The promised jack-o'-lanterns had vanished, leaving only smooth peanut butter cups in their place. The judge decided that while customers may have felt tricked, the candy itself was not worthless. It still tasted the same and no real financial harm was done. The fright, it seems, was only on the wrapper. Yet the plaintiff's lawyers plan to try again, arguing that companies should not get away with dressing up their products in costumes that fool buyers. This ruling touches on a bigger truth about how products are sold. Shoppers have been long drawn to packaging that paints a prettier picture than what is actually inside. Cereal boxes sparkle with colorful fruit that never appears in the bowl. Frozen dinners promise golden perfection that turn out pale and uneven. Even the smallest details, like the gloss on a chocolate bar or the height of a sandwich in an ad, are often the result of staging, lighting, and a bit of visual magic. Fast food commercials are a classic example. The burgers look tall, tidy, and loaded with toppings, but the real sandwich arrives flat and slipping out of its bun. Coffee chains have faced criticism for serving drinks that are mostly ice. Snack companies defend their half-empty bags by calling it protective space, while customers see it as a trick that belongs more to Halloween than honest business. Even ice cream brands have been accused of hiding behind their labels, advertising real vanilla or fresh cream while using artificial substitutes. In most cases, courts have sided with the companies, ruling that disappointment alone does not equal deception. Still, consumer advocates worry that decisions like the Hershey case may embolden more brands to test the limits of honesty. So what can shoppers do to protect themselves from these sweet illusions? Experts suggest a few simple habits. Always read the ingredients list instead of relying on the pictures. Look for phrases like flavored with, made with, or artificial, which can reveal what the product truly contains. Compare the net weight listed on the front of the package to what you expect inside. If the bag feels light or the box looks smaller than the photo suggests, it probably is. Online reviews can also help spot patterns of disappointment from other buyers. Beyond that, awareness itself is power. When customers recognize how marketing shapes perception, they are less likely to fall for the same tricks twice. Some consumer watch groups encourage people to report misleading ads to the Federal Trade Commission, which tracks patterns of deception packaging. Even sharing information on social media can help pressure companies to be more transparent. As Halloween approaches and customers fill their carts with treats, this case offers a fitting reminder. In a season built on costumes, candy, and illusions, it's getting harder to tell the tricks from the treats. Back to you, Lisa.
Alan Swanson is taking a well-deserved break and will return for our next episode. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Real Good News, and we will be back on November 2nd with another episode. Until then, I'm Lisa Allen, with the reminder that real good news is always worth sharing.
Now, a lie is halfway around the world. For the truth can put on its pants. Tell the truth. So my mission without fail is helping you prevail. You got to give the truth a fighting chance. Tell the truth. Beauty's truth, truth is beauty, and it's my civic duty to always write a reality. More than love, money, fame, more than rip on your good name.
I'll tell you something else about the truth, it will
set you free.